This is Kugan Cassius for Raw Podcast. This week I'm delighted to be joined by an Australian legend, only second to Mick Dundee, Billy Dib. How are you, my friend, first of all?
I'm really good, brother. Doing really well, thank you.
This is really long overdue, isn't it? Yeah. Me and you have never really kind of sat down and, chopped it up a bit.
We've spoken online, but yeah, man, this has been a long time coming, and I'm just so glad to be sitting here with you right now. I know it's going to be a laugh.
Well, look, I'm glad I got in before someone's made a film of you, to be honest with you, but we'll talk about that later because your whole life has been quite insane. A lot of ups, but some kind of really bad downs, which we'll come on to. But at the moment, it's all positive because you're here,
yes.
And yeah, you're doing well. You look like you're doing well.
Yeah, man, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm doing well. I'm living my best life, and just appreciative of the time that God's given me, man. I'm just so humbled and so grateful for what I have in my life.
Before we come on to the last kind of few years, I want to kind of track you back to the 80s, back in Sydney. Yeah. I would have no idea. I've been to Sydney once. My aunt lives there. I've not been for, I'll tell you how many years I've not been to Sydney for. 31 years. 94 is when I went to Sydney.
Wow. I was only 9 years of age then, man. I was 9 years of age. So, yeah, man, like for me, growing up as a young kid, we grew up in an area called Engadine, which is the Sutherland Shire, and it's quite white. And at the time, we faced a lot of racism and tough times. But listen, it was the tough times at school that led me to my destiny, which was boxing, you know what I mean? So through my father putting us in some after-school sports, which led to some rugby league. Then the trainer pulled out some pads and we did some boxercise, and Rocky was the in franchise for us at our home. There was 5 boys and 1 girl in our household, man, and 6 brothers and 1 sister, and all we did was box each other, you know what I mean? So we'd box each other, then Mum would come in and box us all for boxing each other. But yeah, Rocky was the end franchise, man. So once that trainer pulled out the pads, it was like I was home. I knew exactly what I was doing.
Back then, again, this is all kind of a little bit new to me to listen to this. Obviously, growing up in England, which I grew up in the 80s, I'm a little bit older than you, Bill, by just a few years. But you touched on racism there. Can you kind of give us a little bit of context about how that was for you?
Yeah, man. Look, for us, it was quite daunting, to be quite honest. It was quite daunting, and waking up in the morning and people would spray on our fence, at home, go home, you dirty wogs, leave our country, and they'd throw eggs at my dad's convenience store, and they'd egg our store, and man, it was a mess. But my dad had this one thing he kept on saying is, we're going to kill him with kindness. We're going to kill him with kindness. Just be kind, and don't fight with them, And eventually, we turned them around, and they became our fans. And then when we actually got to the point where we were selling the store and going to be moving completely out of that area, they were so sad to see us go, because we had grown on them and they had grown on us. It became like a very family-orientated area. And, we overcame the adversity, and obviously the adversity led us to where we are today. And but my dad was very wise, man. My dad was always super, super wise, and he still is very, very wise. So today he's a very wise man. I would say the most wise man that I know in my life. He's always given great advice, and he always said, man, don't fight with these people, And my dad had this other thing where he always said that we need to keep our house clean from the outside. We always have to, make sure the hedges are done really well, cut the grass, everything, because he was like, we need to lead by example and show them that we're good people, and we're clean people, and that's what my father wanted.
It's absolutely, as you get older, you can see how advice like that is very accurate, isn't it? Not to be hasty and not to make rash decisions at certain points in your life, which could cost you kind of, you could go out and you could go have a fight with someone or beat someone up or in retaliation, and then your life is completely different. So that advice there, you can see now, or even back then, how accurate that was.
The advice that my father gave us at that time should have been for this time, because let me tell you, back in the days, if we used to get into a fight, it was a fist fight. Nowadays, you get into a fist fight, it turns into a gunfight, it turns into a stabbing. So many young kids are being stabbed, so many young kids are being shot, so many young kids are being hurt for stupidity, absolute stupidity, And so for me, it's like the lessons that we learned then, now now I worry about my own son, you know what I mean? Like, because my son is 5 years of age now and is a quite a little fighter himself, and he likes to throw the punches, and he loves to mix it up and get his hands wet a little bit, you know. So, but I always tell my son, Dad, whatever I'm teaching you here in the house for boxing, that's not to be used in a street. It's not to hit any of your cousins or any of your friends at school. That's not what I'm teaching you for, you know. It's to protect yourself, and that's the only thing we could do for our children today, is just teach them how to protect themselves, because this world is becoming nasty, man.
Absolutely. I mean, there's obviously, you'll be aware of kind of ongoing problems in England, London especially. You mentioned there knives, etc. And yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to get into a debate right now about kind of the solutions around it. We know there's a problem out there, and but it's worth addressing that. Yeah. This world, whether it's Australia or England, can be like a horrible place at times.
I mean, look, it's not just England and Australia; it's the whole world. Yeah. There's a phenomena of violence going on at the moment. You know what I mean? It's like it's not good. You know what I mean? And hurting people and being rude to people and being derogatory towards people, that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? I feel like my dad's advice about killing people with kindness was the greatest advice that he ever gave me. And I am where I am today because of my dad's advice. You know what I mean? I choose to smile at people rather than, you know, be upset with them. It's okay, you know what I mean? If somebody approaches me in a derogatory way or whatever, I always tell them, look, you're in the right, I'm in the wrong. I'm really sorry, man, forgive me. You know, and most times I come back and I'm like, man, I'm really sorry about the way that I acted. You know, I was out of line in doing that. And it's like, no, it's okay. You know, you must have been going through something. It's okay. But it can escalate if you let it escalate. You know, but I'm not one of those people, man. I just like to, you know, and actually going on to the subject of, you know, helping people and all that. I've actually written a kid's book now, and the kid's book that I've written is called Boys Do Cry, and it's about empowering young kids to know that it's okay to express your feelings, and it's okay to shed a tear, and it's okay to ask for help, because in the world that we live in today, it's like, it's a very masculine thing, you know, like, you know, if you're a young kid and you're going through some sort of hardship, you're not supposed to ask for help because you're a little fighter and you're supposed to be strong, but it's not the case, man. It's like things in my life where I needed to shed tears and I needed to express myself. If I didn't do that, it was going to lead to silly things, and, you know, and there's so much suicide going on in the world today. And, you know, in Australia not long ago, we had a young girl commit suicide, which is crazy. How does a young kid know how to commit suicide, know to hang himself? Like, how is this even possible, you know? Like, what is the world coming to, you know? And so I'm hoping that my book can shed light on that, and, you know, and really start giving these kids an opportunity to be able to express themselves and know that it's okay to express yourself, and that if a world champion can express himself and then a world champion can cry and feel pain, then you can feel that too. It's okay. It's no big deal.
I think the more people such as yourselves, which are, and it is a stereotype that people look at boxers, male boxers, as alpha males, as strong masculine characters. For you, and even people like Tyson Fury in the past as well, talking about what you're talking about, mental health, that it's okay to be emotional, it's okay to be cry. The more people like you guys that are perceived as fighters, etc., it kind of allows other people to think, well, if they can, then I can surely as well.
Yeah, I think, look, fighters are, I believe that fighters are some of the most emotional people in the world, because, you know, we sweat, it's sweat, blood and tears, that's what it is, man. And then you think about it, you know, a lot of times when you win a fight and it's such a great win, you know, you see a lot of fighters shed tears when they're winners. When they win a world championship, they fall to their knees in joy, you know, because crying is a way of expressing your feelings. It's not a thing of, oh, you're weak because you cried. No, you express yourself, man. And I can tell you now, I went through certain things in my life where I was facing so much pain, and it was only through crying that I healed. And even like being diagnosed with cancer and being sick in hospital, there was days when I was in the hospital with myself, I used to cry. I would beg God to help me, you know. Like I would shed tears because I didn't want to be sick. No one wants to feel sick, man. No one wants to feel like they're on their knees, you know. But I just feel like everything that I've been through in my life has led to this point right now, where I basically feel like I'm on top of the world again, you know what I mean? And just feeling like everything is falling into place for me.
I don't really want to make this interview about specifically your boxing career. We know about your boxing career. You had a phenomenal boxing career. former IBF world champion. Were in some great fights.
So basically, I retired with a record of 49 wins and 6 losses, and the 6 losses have come against WBO featherweight world champion Stephen Luevino. The next 2 losses came against Evgeny Gradovich, who stripped me of my IBF world title. The 4th loss came against Takashi Miura. The 5th loss was in an IBF world title fight against Tevin Farmer. And then the last loss was against Amir Khan, which was a money grab and an amazing opportunity. The losses that I had, if you look in my record, it's against all world champions. I never lost in a nothing fight. It wasn't like I turned up and fought in a 6-round or an 8-round bout or a 10-round bout and I lost. No. It was at the elite level. I either won or lost at the elite level, you know what I mean? And when you're in a fight against champions like Luevino, Gradovich, Takashi Miura, Tevin Farmer, you know, it's a 50-50 thing, man. And it's like, you know, someone's going to win, you know what I mean? And sometimes you're going to win, sometimes they're going to win. It's just one of those things.
Absolutely, but yeah, I mean, we'll come on to kind of the fight you had recently as your final fight. We'll come on to that in a minute. Billy, just for context here, I mean, some of it I know, some of it I don't know. I just wanted you to just kind of start on a timeline with your horrendous journey that you wouldn't wish upon anyone wouldn't, with your battle with cancer. I just wanted you to kind of just give me a start point and just kind of run through some like time events.
I'll tell you the timeline. It was basically George Kambosos had just lost the second fight to Devin Haney, which was the rematch. And Lou DiBella contacted me and said, listen, are you interested in fighting George Kambosos? And I said, absolutely, as long as the money's right. And he said, the money will be right. You'll be very happy. And I said, then I'm in. He said, okay, well, you better start your training and let's go from there. And, you know, it all started in the gym one day. I got hit with a body shot, and the body shot caused some sort of a rupture in my colon area, which was where the cancer was. I had cancer in my colon area, but I didn't know about it. But had that not happened, had I not taken that body shot, I probably wouldn't have found out. By the time they would have found out, maybe it would have been too late. Maybe I would have been too far gone. Who knows? Things happen for a reason, right? Yeah. God is the best of planners. And so the journey started there. And then on October the 12th, 2022, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I found out that I had colon cancer. By the 22nd, I was back in the hospital fighting for my life again because the cancer had spread, and now I was not fighting colon cancer. I was fighting another cancer called non-Hodgkin's Burkitt lymphoma. Yeah. It was the toughest battle of my life. It was an opponent that I couldn't see. Cancer is an opponent that comes with 100% speed, 100% agility, 100% chin, 100% power. It's got everything is 100%. And it takes some serious soul searching to be able to defeat that cancer. And I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. And I promise you, do you know what I was saying when I was diagnosed? I said, God, if you gave this to me and you saved it from any of my siblings, my sister or my brothers, then I'm grateful, because I don't know if they could have got through it the way that I got through it. Because I'll tell you something now, it takes some mental strength, man. I had to go to a place that the opposition is not willing to go to. I had to go to a place that the opposition is not willing to go to, and that was like, the pain that I went through was at times intolerable. But I just dug down and I was like, you know what, I cannot throw the towel in, because I can't leave my wife and I can't leave my son. They don't deserve that, you know what I mean? My wife doesn't deserve that. My dad, I was going into a hospital with cancer. My dad was coming out in remission. My wife's father had been diagnosed with a terminal cancer, and unfortunately he passed away last year. God rest his soul, you know. So like, man, it was, I didn't want that for my wife. Imagine losing your husband and losing your father. Could you imagine? But God is merciful, man. God knew exactly what needed to happen, and I think that my journey was a journey to inspire others. You know what I mean? God wanted to put me through that in order for me to inspire other people. And I didn't want my journey with cancer to be one where I survived and, you know, it was in vain. No, I wanted to survive cancer and be able to you know, be able to help people, to be able to inspire people. And that's what I've done through my journey. I tried to inspire, and I know you guys have seen a lot of the posts and a lot of the things that I posted up in that. And I was basically doing all those posts because I actually believed that I wasn't going to make it. Because there was people around me that were dying in the hospital. There was 3 people who were wheeled out in body bags, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to make it. But I was doing all these videos because I wanted to show my son that I tried my best. I never wanted my son to say that my dad gave up. No, when a kid approached my son when he went to school, oh, where's your dad? And he says, my dad passed away. What do you mean? My dad died from cancer, but my dad was a warrior. My dad fought till the very end. I wanted to leave that. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted for my son. And then through God's mercy and grace, I'm here today to tell the story, man, which is an absolute miracle.
I'm assuming parts of that will be a little bit of a blur for you, where it was such a dark time. Do you remember everything around that time vividly or not?
We filmed so much of it. We documented so much of it. You know what I mean? Getting the lumbar spine injections, you know, the vomiting, all these things. We documented it, you know what I mean? But it was definitely a very, very dark time. And there was times I was like, people would say to me, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, and I couldn't see it. I was like, man, how could you even say that? Like, when you're in a position that I was in, when you're really, really sick and you're feeling like there's nothing left, and somebody says to me, you're going to be all right? It's like, how can you say I'm going to be all right, man? I'm on the verge of dying right now. And you don't see that. Now that I'm in remission and I look back and I'm like, wow, man, I really got through that, you know what I mean? And it's like a distant memory now, but because I talk about it often, and because I documented it, and because I've taken photos of it, I often go back. And even the other day I was just watching a video that my wife put together, which was a video with all of my siblings and my father, my mother, all of my friends, her friends, colleagues from the boxing industry sending me messages of hope. And I was watching it back and I broke down and started crying, man, because I was like, look at the love of the world. Look at the love of the community. Look at the love of the boxing industry. Like the people that message me, wishing me that I'm going to get through that. You know, it's like people rally together. It's like, and that's what I love about the sport of boxing. When one of us is down, we're all down. And we try to lift that person up.
When was there a particular turning point that was kind of moving then in your favour of you kind of coming through this?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was a PET scan. I went to do a PET scan, and the PET scan basically tells you whether you're still cancer, you got the cancer where it is and everything. But I went to do a PET scan, and the cancer was shrinking. Like, and the gentleman who was doing the scan told me that things are looking really good. You're moving in the right direction. You know, when somebody says that, it's like they gave you a win. Like, I got a win. You know what I mean? And it gave me like a second win to know that, okay, this is working. Because the last thing you want to do is, after going through all of that chemotherapy and all of that pain and all of that vomiting and excruciating stuff that you dealt with, and then you go back and do a scan and it's still the same. Be like, why am I doing this for? Why am I putting myself through all this pain? But for me, it was like, I got a leg up. And then it gave me the motivation to say, yeah, okay, we're getting close, you know? And I even did a video where I was like, Nas's favorite round to knock his opponents out was round 2, and this is round 2 of chemotherapy done, and I'm leaving the hematology ward. I've just knocked out the chemo for round 2, and I'm out. You know what I mean? But I started to find things that I was trying to motivate myself with. You know what I mean? And boxing played a big role. You know, it was like I looked at it like a 12-round fight. I was like, okay, I'm in round 6 right now. I'm in round 6. I just got to get through this round. I got to keep my hands up. I got to keep moving. I got to keep ducking and dodging, and I got to keep sliding and moving and punching. And that's how I looked at it. I just looked at it like a fight. You know what I mean? But there was definitely some really dark moments. Really dark moments.
We were at the Ring Awards last weekend, and it must have been an emotional moment for you to receive that award, especially in front of so many stars and friends of yours in boxing. Obviously, Amir Khan, who you fought, he was there. And there was a whole host of other names there, but that must have been an emotional moment, giving that speech as well.
The only person missing from that room was Prince Nassim Hamed. and I actually asked him.
His son was there.
Yeah, his son was there, which was amazing. But I asked Naz if he could come, and he unfortunately said that he was busy and he couldn't make it. But that room was filled with everybody that I wanted it to be filled with. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to get the award. I wasn't 100% sure. I had an inkling feeling that I'd get it, but no one gave me a heads up. I still wrote a speech thinking that, okay, if I get it, I want to be able to deliver a very good speech. But I started getting nervous when they started announcing like Dennis Dubois and Nick Bell and all. I was like, man, I'm up against it, you know. And then when they announced me, and everybody got up and just started clapping, and you got the who's who stood up. I'm talking like Robert Garcia, Amir Khan, Adam Hamid. Every fighter that was in the auditorium stood up. Even Canelo and De La Hoya and all these guys, and they were clapping for me. And I'm like, man, I just got my flowers from boxing. I was like, I just actually got my flowers. All these years that I've been thinking that boxing never gave me my flowers, it actually gave me my flowers. And to top that off, I've been invited now to every single event that takes place. Like, the sport of boxing is keeping me relevant. And I love that, man. I love the fact that I'm able to be there and be a former world champion and, you know, be able to rub shoulders with the Roberto Durans and the, the Canelo Alvarez and the Hamza Shirazes and all these amazing fighters that are coming up past, present, and still, like, you know, I mean, still doing their thing. It's like, to me, that's like a dream come true. And like, I feel like, to be honest with you right now, I feel like I'm the hottest property on Australian boxing, even though I'm not even fighting anymore. But that's just how I feel, you know. I just feel like to get your flowers the way that I did the other day and to be given the award that I was given in Ring Magazine, Comeback of the Year, I was like, man, I was truly humbled. And Mauricio Suleiman was there, and Turkey Sheikh, and all these people that mean so much to me were there. Like, I'm content.
One of a pleasing moment for you must have been making a return to the ring in an 8-rounder that you had, which at some point would have looked the most impossible task at some point in your life. But you did make a return to the ring. How was that? So
here was the thing, right? The thing was that in 2023, I was at the convention in Uzbekistan, and as a joke, a complete joke, Robert Diaz said, "Could you imagine you had another fight?" And I was like, man, I would love that. And then Mauricio Suleiman was sitting right next to Robert Diaz, and he's like, what do you reckon about letting Billy Dib have another fight on the next convention show? And Mauricio said, if he gets me a doctor's clearance, I'll let him do it. That's what he said. And you know what? I took it serious. I was like, this would be crazy. So I started making phone calls to Robert Diaz. I'm like, Diaz, Robert, you sure? Can you really make this happen? Next thing you know, they got Ahmed Onur on the phone, and I spoke to Ahmed Onur, and Ahmed's like, listen, if you want to do it, if you give me a doctor's clearance, we'll do it. So back and forth, and then eventually they said, yeah, we'll do it. So they gave me some good time to sort of, find my bearings again. So I started doing a bit of sparring. I started looking better in the gym. I started running. I started doing all these things. I started really enjoying myself. And then I thought to myself, look at this. Boxing is going to give me the opportunity to go out on my own terms. I'm going to get a chance to go out on my own terms. It's not going to be because my career didn't end because of cancer. My career ended because I decided that that's it. I'm calling it a day. But the doctors originally said to me, you'll never fight again. And then to fight again and to defy the odds. And when I say that a lot of fighters don't get to go out on their own terms, of course they're in really hard fights. When you've got people like Oscar De La Hoya, Shane Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, Miguel Cotto, Manny Pacquiao, they're fighting the elite. So when you're fighting the elite, and sometimes you don't get to go out on your own terms, it's because you fought a really elite person. Now, I'm not saying that I fought an elite person. I fought somebody who was, an honest fighter, but, Billy Dib of the worst could still beat the guy. I mean, that's the truth. But boxing gave me the opportunity to go out on my own terms as a winner as well. And I told people, I said, listen, it doesn't matter whether I win, lose, or draw, I've already won. Because the doctor told me that I'd be dead in 6 months. He told me I'd never fight again, but I'm here today. So I already won. Because You know, I did an interview with was Fight Hub TV, and he said, he goes, like, do you know that you're in fight week? And I was like, I do. And he's like, you're hanging around the lobbies, you're talking to people, you're enjoying yourself. And I said, that's what I'm doing because that's what I want to do. I don't want to be in my room locked up. I don't care whether I win, lose, or draw. I already won. The fact that I'm here, the fact that I'm going to be performing in front of Lennox Lewis, Michael Moorer, and all these amazing fighters that came to the convention, I've already won. And that's exactly what it was. It was a moment where I got the opportunity to go out on my own terms. And let me tell you, I still feel like I can mix it up. I feel like with the right, if I go off that win, I've got the momentum going again and get a couple of more good wins. I could find myself in another world title fight. I feel that I could. You know what I mean? I definitely feel like I could. I would say probably one of the biggest regrets of my career was that Turkey or Sheikh wasn't around when I was at my peak, you know what I mean? I'm sure Amir Khan feels the same. We talked about it the other day, and like, could you imagine Turkey was around when we were doing our thing? It's like, man, it would have been unbelievable, you know, because being the fact that we're both young Muslims, me being an Arab from an Arab descent, that would have been amazing, you know what I mean? And to be a world champion, I would have been like hailed by these people, you know what I mean? It would have been unbelievable.
What is your current situation health-wise? We know obviously you've made a recovery. To what extent now? Are you in a remission period at the moment? I'm assuming you are, yes.
Yes, I'm currently in remission at the moment. I've been in remission since March the 6th, 2023. So coming to this March, I will be 2 years in remission. To be completely clear, and in the complete clear, you got to be in remission for 5 years. So I've had multiple tests, and the multiple tests that I've had have been cleared thus far. They did tell me that there's a chance that it could come back, but I don't live my life worrying about that. I don't care about that. It's not going to come back because I'm not going to will that into my life. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you overthink things reoccur, and I just live my life to the fullest now. I mean, I appreciate time so much more than anything in my life now. Like, I think time's the most valuable asset that we don't own. It's a gift that's given to us, and I choose to live my life like it's not gonna be for long. You know what I mean? Every day for me is a miracle. The fact that I'm here and breathing and I'm alive, and I'm in the UK and I'm at the Ring Magazine award. That like. This is things that's like, it's like, this is the kind of stuff that's written in the stars, you know what I mean? It's like when I was walking that walk to the ring, I actually felt like I was in the Oscars. I was like, this is like the Oscars, like everyone's up and clapping for me, and I'm like, they didn't clap for anybody else like that. They didn't stand up for anybody else, but they stood up for me, and I was like this is a heroic moment. You know, this is something you write about in a book. This is something that you talk about in a seminar. This is something that you inspire people with, you know what I mean? It's like, and I often tell people today, you know, who are going through the journey themselves, that somebody once told me there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm telling you the same. The light's at the end of the tunnel. Just fight as hard as you can. Grit down on that mouth guard. Bite the mouth guard as hard as you can, and don't give up. Don't throw the towel in. You got to keep going.
We've just spoke there for half hour and kind of just condensed kind of parts of your life there. I mean, I don't suppose there's enough time to talk about kind of the complete Billy Dib story, which
it's a movie, man.
It's definitely a movie. Who plays you in the movie, Bill?
Oh, wow. Look, I used to say a good friend of mine who's a really good actor, Ferris Durrani, you know, I mean, I used to say he'd play me, but I don't know. Look, to be honest with you, I think that's another dream that I have, you know what I mean, to have, I'd love to be in a theater room with thousands of people watching the screen and somebody reliving or reacting the life of Billy Dib. Because let me tell you something, I always imagined my life, like I always imagined that there was a professor at the front of an auditorium telling the story of Billy Dib, and I'm just walking the story that he's telling, you know what I mean? But life right now and life today for me is about giving back. It's really, really about being there for anybody who's going through the disease. It's really about being there for every kid and every mother and every child who's suffering and every father who's suffering. I want to be a voice for the people. I want to be somebody who inspires the kids to know that there's greatness within them. And I often tell kids when I go to school, I said, there's 2 things that I want to talk to you about today. Actually 3. Knowledge is power and power is success. I tell them that the vision starts with you, the consistency follows, and the success comes. And the other thing is that the greatness is in you, because we are all children of God, and God is the greatest of beings, and God created us all. And through us being God's creation, He's breathed greatness into each and every single one of us. The only thing is that, are you willing to tap into that greatness? Are you willing to find that greatness? Are you willing to chase that greatness? It's on you, not me. I can't take you to that greatness, but you can. I can teach you how to get there. I can guide you, but you got to be the one who taps into it, not me. And so that's my goal now. My goal is to change lives through my experiences. My goal now is to inspire young kids. And I hope that this book that I've released, Boys Do Cry, my minimum goal is 100,000 copies and no less. I want to sell 100,000 copies and no less. And I'm releasing the book in English, Arabic, Japanese, Spanish, German. I'm doing all languages. I want this book to go so worldwide, and it's about inspiring the youth and the adults, because it's not just a book about, because, you know, as an adult, you read the book, it's like, wow, man, yes, I don't express myself too much. You know what I mean? I need to start doing that, because it's healthy to express yourself. It's healthy to ask for help. It's healthy to talk to people. And that's what I want to do. I want to inspire people to know that this is what needs to be done.
Billy Dib, thank you very much for talking to us today. Like I said, it's been long overdue, and yeah, I'm glad we got to do this. So we'll keep kind of tabs on you moving forward. I'm sure I'm going to see you around Riyadh, wherever it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Look,
London.
man, I'm glad that I'm going to be a part of these amazing events now, you know what I mean? And to be given the recognition that I got the other day is mind-blowing, you know. And you know what, Kugan, let me just say this, man. I've been waiting for this for a long, long time. Honestly, this is the one interview that I wanted to do, because I just feel like you bring the best out of people. And I've seen some of your interviews, and I like that. You have a lot of banter, and you have a little bit of a laugh, and I like that, man. So thank you so much for the opportunity. You're a good man, and yeah, bro, keep doing what you do, man. Keep shining.
Billy Dib, much appreciate those words, and I wish you nothing but health, my friend. Thank you guys for listening. It's been Kugan Cassius here with Billy Dib on Raw. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. We will catch you next week. Billy Dib, a pleasure.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you so much. God bless everybody. Thank you.